Welcome back. It feels like it's been a long time since I have sat in front of a camera. I need to catch you up. So we're back in London and autumn is in full swing in here. It's currently a very, very rainy day, but I'm all cozied up inside, so that feels great. Today I want to talk to you about goals and intentions and finishing the year on a high. If you followed my journey here on YouTube or on my other platforms like Instagram and TikTok, you will have known that I lost my job a few months ago, just before the summer. And with that came a whole opportunity to look at my entire life and think, what do I really want to do? It felt like a really big pivotal moment. It was the end of a career that I had dreamed of since I was little, and it felt so chaotic and destabilizing and scary, but also exciting. I am of the opinion that everything that happens to you can be turned into an opportunity, and that is the only really way to make sure we can go through life without getting bitter or upset about everything. So I decided to take the summer to rest, relax, see my family, friends, travel, and I've had the best time. But now it's time to get back to reality and to put in the work to build my life back up again. And as I'm saying this, I've done a lot of reflecting and a lot of thinking, and also already a little bit of planning. And I know that October is going to be the month that I go back to my routines, my habits, and building the life that I know I deserve to live. This is like what we're here to talk about today. I don't know how you feel about the year. I can't believe that is already October. I remember starting 2022 with the intention of being consistent and of achieving so many goals, and quite frankly, I have not achieved any of the goals that I set myself to, aside from monetizing my social media channels, which was all thanks to you. But even so, even without having achieved anything, there is still 3 months left in the year, and there is plenty of time to make all of your dreams a reality. And I thought we could maybe do this together. So the first thing that I did to make sure that I didn't fuff about with my goals, because honestly, I'm a big procrastinator and I'm also a perfectionist, which is like a really bad combination, was to write down the 3 or 4 areas of my life that I wanted to focus on in the next 3 months. And these are pretty big areas, but honestly, I really wanted to go full on. So for me, I know that I want to dedicate the next 3 months to really change my life. I'm saying it out loud. I am saying it, I'm putting it out, I'm asking you to keep me accountable. So the areas of my life that I've decided I'm gonna be focusing on are physical health, mental well-being, career, and life things. And the last one I'm gonna have to explain in a bit more detail later on. The physical health is probably the one that makes me the most excited, because I know it is the one that is going to help me to feel so much better in my body. I haven't felt good with my body for a while. I entered the pandemic feeling really strong, and then sadly everything went downhill from there. And I know it's the experience for so many people. It was really hard to keep any sort of like routine when it came to exercise, and it was also really hard to kind of like manage our food in a way that was healthy. I turned to food for comfort a lot, and in the pandemic it was just like 10 times more than I would normally. I don't regret anything. I think it was like the necessary thing for me to be able to get on the other side of what was like a really tough couple of years. But right now, it's been a while since that has stopped, and I need to hold myself accountable and kind of like draw a line under that chapter of my life. I want to feel strong again. I want to feel good in my body. I honestly just don't want to climb up a flight of stairs and feel like I cannot catch my breath. Like, that can't be. I am way too young. So that is one big area of my life where I want to make some changes and some improvements. And the way I'm going to action that is twofold. There are some things that I'm going to be doing to change my routines, but there's also a lot that I know I have to do in terms of going back to the routines I know worked well for me. And that is like the biggest thing. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. If you've ever found something that works for you, then I would say like stick with it. And that's what I'm gonna be doing. When I was at my best, I was trying to eat less processed food. That was a result of me finding out that I had a dairy intolerance. So it was like a forced choice. I didn't really make a decision to do so, but that had like a massive impact on my well-being. So I'm gonna go back to try and eat more whole foods. I'm gonna go back to try and eat more of a Mediterranean diet, which is the diet that I grew up with and that I know is the kindest and most gentle on my body and my stomach. I'm also going to get back into exercising, and I'm gonna do this in different ways. So the first thing that I'm very excited for is to start again with my very first personal trainer, who I absolutely love. We are back in London and we are close to where he trains, and he has his own studio. So we will be going there and I will take you along for some refresher training sessions and to get back into wanting to go to the gym. Because I don't know about you, but I am somebody who doesn't feel very comfortable going to the gym. I don't really know how to use the machineries. I don't like that there's like people around me, specifically creepy man. You know, it's a little bit of a struggle, but I want to get out of that, and I want to learn both how to move my body in a safe way and also how to make sure that I feel confident enough to show up for myself in the way I know I need to. I will also be doing some workouts at home because I don't expect that I'm gonna suddenly fall in love with going to the gym. But again, it's just like learning how to make sure that I don't injure myself and I don't hurt my body. And I think for the workout at home, I already know that I want to do Pilates. Is absolutely my favorite kind of movement. I started it a while ago and I was doing reformer Pilates, which life-changing. Sadly, I don't have a studio nearby and it's also very pricey. So I'm having to kind of like make the decision to like train in that way at home because it's much cheaper and a little bit easier on my schedule as well. And there's lots of YouTube videos on that, and I can give you some recommendations if you're looking for something. The next thing that I'm going to be doing is obviously looking after my well-being. This started honestly a while ago, and it's been taking me a long time to acknowledge and realize what happened to me. At the beginning of the year, I had some very stressful news, some very stressful personal news that had nothing to do with strictly with work that was delivered to me, and that sadly sat me back with my mental well-being a lot. Following that, I thought I had an episode of burnout, and it later turned out that it was a depressive episode. This is tougher to share than I thought it would be. I found out this through therapy. So I started going to therapy again in the summer to help me navigate everything that had happened to me at that point, including obviously the losing the job part. And on top of that, we also lost our place due to the renting crisis currently happening in London and in the UK. So it was a really rough time, and I realized I needed to call in some help. I found this amazing therapist that I've been working with since, and we found out that actually what I thought was burnout was a depressive episode. And that really made me realize how much I need to reassess in my life, because I thought I had a pretty good life and I thought everything was fine and that I was just dealing with a stressful time, but it wasn't clearly the case. I feel like I'm in a much better place, as you can hopefully tell from this video. I really just didn't want to record myself while I was going through that, but some of the things that I know I'm gonna be going back to are things like practicing gratitude daily, and I do that using the 5-minute journal. It's honestly something that I swear by because it makes it super easy. I'm gonna try and like make things easy on my mind as well by reducing some mental fatigue that comes from like making lots of decisions. So I'll be automating as much as possible the things that I'm doing day to day. I will try to have similar meals and like meal prep to help myself not having to make 1,000,001 decisions every day. I get overwhelmed very easily, and I think I need to recognize the pressure that I feel to always perform, always be productive, and always be at my absolute best. And I think I can do that by kind of implementing ways to make sure that I don't always have to be switched on every single second of my day. And I don't know about you, but there is a lot of obviously talk about social media and the way it affects our mental health, and that is certainly true, but I am of the opinion that specifically because I am now working on social media, that social media isn't going anywhere. And so rather than doing detoxes regularly and things like that, what I want to start and do is curate the content that I consume so that I can actually start consuming content that helps me, encourages me, inspires me, educates me, as opposed to content that makes me feel like I am needing to comparing myself or I am always in a state of mind of lack. Of course, also reducing the amount of time that we spend on social media and on screens in general is very important. And so another things that I'm gonna turn my heart back to is reading. Comes probably to no one's surprise, obviously, given my origin story and my biggest passion for books, but I will start to incorporate reading more. And something that actually my personal trainer recommended to me was to make sure that I have different reads at different times of day. So for example, what I'm going to be doing is I will read in the evening, something that can relax me. So likely for me, it will be some kind of fiction, probably fantasy, I would say. And then during the day, I will likely be reading nonfiction and anything else that I might be having to read for work or to create content and so on. But turning my attention back to books and back to something that isn't a screen, I think is going to be one of the healthiest things for my mind. Reading has always been something that makes me feel safe and happy and really inspires my creativity. It sparks the conversation for so many different topics, and I always feel so much more full and happy and content when I am reading. And of course, even that, it's hard to find the right book, so I will just give myself some grace and probably thinking about ways in which I can do that won't break the bank because I'm still unemployed. This leads me nicely into the last thing that I'm going to mention in detail, which is the career side of things. As I mentioned, I lost my job, which was in publishing, and you can watch some videos where I tell you the story about what happened, and I'm gonna link them down below, in May. And that was quite a big thing that happened. It did happen whilst I was unwell, which obviously did not help. And I think that at the time, I actually took it better than I thought I would. I was honestly preparing for redundancy since I started working in the UK because I knew that was something that would likely happen in my career. I was ready enough not to be putting my confidence and all of my kind of personal side of things into that decision. It was very much a business decision, and it was also something that helped me in a way that I don't think I could have predicted at the time. Nevertheless, it was a big thing, and it actually made me reassess everything that I want from my career. Again, if you know me, if you've been around for a while, you know that I am an extremely career-driven person and that I have been wanting to be in publishing and work in publishing for as long as I can remember. And although this was a redirection, I think it was a really good one. I've been working in social media and kind of doubling in content creation for a couple of years, starting off with this YouTube channel. And I decided that this would be the moment that I fully and truly embraced what I actually want to do. Corporate jobs are just not for me at the moment. I think the easiest way that I can think to explain it is that sadly there are jobs where your input doesn't necessarily equal your output. You're not going to get paid more if you work harder. You're not going to get recognized better, and you still have to be at the mercies of things like politics and lots of other things that I quite frankly don't care for at this time in my life. However, I am not silly enough to think that I can simply just turn my back to the corporate life and just suddenly start making money on social media. I know this is very much going to be a journey. I can't afford to be without a job. So I will be having to figure out a way to move forward with my dream whilst also providing for myself. So stay tuned for that. But the biggest thing that I wanted to share with you is that sometimes we enter the world of work with a very specific idea of what we think we want and what we think our career is going to look like. And that is completely fine, healthy, and good, but don't get stuck in it. Don't attach your identity to your job, to an industry, to a dream that you had when you were maybe 10 or even 15. Sometimes things change. It is totally fine. You haven't failed, and I'm saying this to you like I'm saying it to myself. It is a natural part of life to have change and things going in different ways. So this is just like my message for you. Make sure you follow your dreams, and if they're no longer your dreams, make sure you find new ones and start following them. So I think this has turned out to be a very, very long video, but I wanted to touch on the last bit, which is the life stuff that I mentioned. And I don't really know how to describe this, but honestly, this is just trying to figure out ways to have stability in my life. We have had to move, sadly, quite a few times in the last few years, and now, as I mentioned, we are homeless. Technically, obviously, I'm in a beautiful place that we are renting out temporarily whilst we try to find the flat, but that has caused us a lot of stress and has caused me a lot of anxiety, which hasn't been good. And so the life stuff that I want to sort out is just make some decisions for the life that I want to live, and make some decision that can be like long-term things that I can embrace and I can settle in and I can find some peace with, because it has been incredibly difficult being an immigrant and not knowing where to locate, where to spend my time, and especially now that I don't have an office to be in specifically, it became even more stressful, to be honest. So I need to make some decisions to basically find a place that can make me feel close to my friends, close to the places that I need to be, accessible for my family, and can ultimately give me everything that I need to have a good life. And I don't know how that's gonna work, and I'm gonna try and document that journey as well. But as I said, we are in the middle of obviously cost of living crisis and a rental crisis in London. So I predict that it will be a tough thing to do, but nevertheless, I'm excited to see what opportunities are around the corner. And that brings me to the end of this video, and I have kind of like put out there all of these things that I want to work on, and I hope that some of these are things that can inspire you to perhaps join me in this journey, or at least to reflect and realize that honestly we're all navigating something that is quite stressful and that can be really disappointing at times, and that can be scary to do alone. So if I can be your friend and your companion in this journey of creating a life that we love and that we're happy with, I'd be very happy to do that. I will document things and I will share the things that work for me, hoping that that will either inspire you or save you a bit of time in pursuing the things that can help you too. But thank you so much for watching. If you've got this far, I'm sending all my love to you, and I will see you very soon with some videos on how I'm going to tackle the last 3 months of the year, change my life, and make this the best chapter yet. Bye, friends.